everyone, and welcome to your favorite show, and I know it's your favorite show, Sports Chat. I am Brian Mahler.
And I'm RJ Pomelo.
And today is May 11th, and we have a great show for you, but we have some good news, some great news, and some terrible news.
Yeah, we do.
It's we've got some good news from the Sox, some great news from the Bees, and
some awful news from the Celtics.
So we'll start with those Celtics. We'll give you the bad news first, and then we'll move on to some of the good stuff. Get the bad stuff out of the way early. So someone must have cranked the heat up to 1,000 for the Celtics because they've been getting scorched in their second round series against the Miami Heat. They've not looked good, to say the very least, and now going into Game 5, which is tonight, they're down 3-1. And to make matters worse, they're playing in enemy territory down in South Beach. And they did end up salvaging a game in this series, Game 3, thanks to a heroic effort from Rajon Rondo, who, after dislocating in a gruesome play, dislocating his left elbow, came back and willed the Celtics to a blowout win. But I just don't know. With an injured Shaq who's doubtful to play tonight, and Rajon Rondo still in pain, it's just going to be hard for these Celtics to end up getting 3 in a row against the Miami Heat to move on.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not a good feeling for the Green right now. Not at all. You look at what they've done so far in the series, and it's just, other than that bright spot in Game 3, there's just not much that you can hold on to make you think that they can get the job done. The way the bench is playing just really makes you think it's really only the core four that are showing up, and even Kevin Garnett has been more off than on lately. He had a great Game 3, but
excellent Game 3.
But Games 1, 2, and especially Game 4, it was like he didn't show up. Which, I mean, I'm not going to blame KG.
But it's not due to lack of effort.
No, absolutely
That's for sure.
not. You know, it's due to the fact that he's old and probably should be walking around with a cane, not playing
soon
basketball.
to hit 35.
Yeah,
so
and which is very old in basketball years.
Yeah,
so.
Especially with the intensity that he plays with.
Yeah, I mean, not much that they can do other than go out and play their hearts out tonight. And other than that, I mean, it's just not looking good.
No, it's grim to say the least. That's why I sported my Celtic green.
Right.
Assuming that this might be the last game we'll get to see in this year's playoffs for the Celtics. I sported my Celtic green here, but I also wore my black to signify the possible end of the Big Three, maybe the somber kind of feel.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm with you. I threw on the green tie because, you know, we're all hoping miracles come in green, but you got to throw on the black coat too, because chances are this might be the last time that we see the Big Three play together. And it's sad news, but we had a good run.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great run. We did win a championship, but it was a good run.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm happy with it. I'll take wins.
But hey, you know what? Let's not deep six them quite yet. They're still playing tonight, and we'll take it one game at a time from here on out. And you never know what could happen.
All right. Well, let's hop into the great news that's going on in Boston. Let's jump into that.
Absolutely outstanding news. The Bruins finally got over that hump. They are finally back in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 1992. That's almost 10 years since they've been there. And it is just a great feeling all around Boston. You see everybody in the black and gold. Everybody's
crazy.
Sporting their Bruins.
I'm fearful of these Bruins fans. They may kill some people.
Bruins fans are crazy. It's absolutely true. But coming off an absolutely great series from the Bruins standpoint with the Flyers, finally, well, not finally, it only took a year, but they avenged that series that they had last year with the Flyers. We all remember, we don't want to talk about it, but we remember last year the Bruins played the Flyers. They had that 3-0 lead in the series, and then they lost Game 4, and lost Game 5, and lost Game 6, and lost Game 7. Losing the series. This year, Bruins won the first 3, and then Bruins won Game 4, swept the Flyers, got rid of them, and they're moving on to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bruins, though, they played an outstanding series against the Flyers. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
They beat the Flyers in every aspect of the game. They
beat the pants off them.
Absolutely.
Beat the pads off them.
And the Bruins are a physical team, very physical team, but that series was the most physical I've seen them all season.
Yeah, they got their offense going. That first line was great all series. Krejci was a god on ice, I'd say.
Yeah, and you know who else was a god on ice? Tim Thomas.
Oh,
Tim Thomas played one heck of a series. Absolutely amazing the way that he was playing. He in game 2, the game that went to overtime, he stopped 52 of 54 shot attempts on him.
That's unreal.
Speaks for itself.
And you know, that was kind of the knock on him going in, that he's not a playoff goal, he can't win the big game, but
well, apparently he is now.
Yeah, he stole them one right there.
Yeah, he did. And on top of that, Lucic finally came through, scored 2 goals in game 4.
There he was.
One of them was a power play goal, which finally got us over that hump
Righting all the wrongs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was me who said last time that we were on Sports Chat that if Lucic could get just a little bit of production, and we got a little bit of production off the power play, then we'd win the series. And guess what? They did, and we did. So I feel pretty good about that. And so the Bruins now move on to play the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we're going to take a look at the schedule now. The Bruins start the series on this Saturday, May 14th. They're going to play in Tampa. Then they'll play in Tampa again on Tuesday, May 17th. And then...
Well, the first 2 games are in Boston. Goose. You silly goose.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First 2 games are in Boston. Then we go to Tampa on May 19th and May 21st. And then we go back and forth, Boston, Tampa, Boston on May 23rd, 25th, and 27th. So really looking forward to this series. It's going to be a hard-hitting series.
Be very exciting.
It's going to be an intense series, but we're going to get more into that in the chat room.
Absolutely.
So why don't we?
So we'll save that excitement for a little later.
Right. We don't want to deal with all the excitement now.
Yeah, you have to stick around to get all the good stuff.
Right. We can't just give it to you all now.
Yeah. Then what kind of show would we be running?
Exactly. Give a little teaser, and then we'll move on to the Red Sox.
Well, the Red Sox are the good news. It's not great, but it's good. It's not the Celtics, so it's not bad. But finally, they're starting to look like they're coming around. They're 2 games away from 500. Last night, they had an opportunity to get to 500, but unfortunately, they dropped it and lost. But a bright spot, a huge bright spot to me, is that finally, Carl Crawford is hitting. He's got a 10-game hit streak.
It's a miracle.
And in the last homestand, the longest homestand of the season for the Sox, he had 2 walk-off hits. So, I mean, if Carl Crawford is back and Carl Crawford is going to start hitting, then things might be a go for me. And Adrian Gonzalez is finding the power. He's now leading the team in home runs. So, I mean, it's starting to look a little better. It's starting to look like things are working themselves into place and going where we thought things would go.
It's starting to look that way. I wouldn't say that it's quite there yet. They look better, definitely.
Right.
I don't know if I'd go as far as to say they look good. They had that stretch where the pitching was just outstanding, where they did look great. But now you take a look at the last 15 games, they're 7-8. That's, they're below 500. They just can't seem to get over that 500 hump. They've had, I believe it's 5 opportunities to hit 500 so far this season, and they just can't do it. I mean, how long can we wait?
Well, we have a long season.
We do, but it's in order for them to convince me that they're actually going to go somewhere, they need to hurry up and get there. Not that there isn't a lot of season left, but eventually it'll get to the point where we're looking back and thinking, wow, wish they had won a few games earlier in the season. So I wouldn't say that they're where they need to be, but I would say that they're heading in that direction. So feel good about that, but not great, like we said.
Absolutely.
Good,
but not great. But it's not terrible.
Right.
So what we're going to do now is usually we give you 4 news topics, but today we've got too much going on with the Bruins and Celtics. And the Red Sox getting a little better.
And just nothing at all going on with the Patriots.
True.
Less than nothing.
So we're just going to jump right into the chat room now, and we're going to completely cut the final news topic and get right into comments and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and the real reason is just because Brian wants more camera time.
Yeah, that's actually exactly it. Yeah. And I don't entirely appreciate you blowing up my spot like that.
Sorry, I'm a little upset about it.
Our first little topic in the chat room was, well, to be frank, what the hell happened to the Celtics? What went on? I mean, everything just kind of fell apart. Everyone was feeling good after they swept the Knicks. Granted, I wasn't taking much out of the Knicks series because the Knicks are better, but still the Knicks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you expected a little more out of this series. And, I mean, we asked our chat room fans, and Jordan was the first one to give us a little response, and she said that the problem was, number 1, Rondo, and number 2, the bench did not show up. And, Jordan couldn't have hit the nail right on the head anymore. I mean, first of all, the bench has been
atrocious.
Horrendous all playoffs.
Yep.
In the first series, they were bad. This series, they've been worse. And first, I just want to say that Delonte West has played well. Delonte West, this series, has played well, and he's fought and he's battled.
And I think what it is that because of Rondo's injury and the fact that Rondo spent a little bit more time on the bench, Delonte West finally had an opportunity to get a little bit of flow going, because that's something he didn't get in the regular season or in that first series. And we all know Delonte West is a good player.
Yeah,
little
he's
crazy
a tough
in the
player.
head, but he's a great player. And
oh yeah, he'd kill someone.
Oh, he absolutely would.
But I mean, he's played well, but one man does not make a bench.
No.
And, you know, Jeff Green's struggles have continued. He's starting to look a little bit better, but he's still just, he doesn't look like he really understands the plays. No. He's just a step behind. And one of the big problems with me is I think that he's more of a 4, he's more of a power forward that they're forcing into the 3 spot, and he just doesn't really have the skill set for it. But the big problem with this bench has been Glenn Davis.
Yes.
He was a nominee for the 6th Man of the Year. He was right up there with the rest of the best bench players in the league, and he was averaging 11.7 points a game in the regular season. He was outstanding in the regular season and was a huge spark for this team off the bench. But since they've gotten to the playoffs, he's been non-existent. He's only got 3.5 points per game in this series, and he's shooting only 29%. That's terrible.
It's god-awful. It's just, I mean, you don't expect Baby to be a superstar. We never have. But he's always been a solid, if not at times great bench player. He comes in and he gives you the intensity, he gives you the minutes you need.
And that's what you want.
At times he gives you the scoring that you need.
Right.
At other times he doesn't, but he still gives you that pickup. He's the one who you'll see with diving on the floor for the loose balls, or getting in somebody's face after a great play and just really getting the team going. You know, he's a little bit of motivation. He's that spark off the bench that every great team needs. And right now, he's not. He's not even a fizzle off the bench right now. He comes in and it's like we have 4 people on the floor.
Yeah.
He's on the floor. He's running back and forth, and that's the extent of what he's doing.
It was a gamble when we saw Perkins go away. When Perkins was traded away, it was a gamble. And lots of people will argue, you know, Perkins hasn't done much in Oklahoma City. But if you look back now and review that trade, you got Jeff Green, who hasn't done hardly anything off the bench for Boston. You got Nenad Kristic, who has hardly played. He hasn't even seen much floor time. So it's just not going the way that it should. And you have Glenn Davis coming off the bench. He's supposed to be a big spark for you. He's not doing it.
No.
And with this trade, he was all you had left. Really.
Yeah, and you know what really gets me, Lily? There's not the majority, but there are still a lot of people out there who say that this trade was a good idea. And I just don't see that at all. I understand.
No.
I understand that this trade was supposed to be a little bit of looking towards the future.
Right.
That's fine. But we had an opportunity at the championship this year. There's no arguing that.
We did. We were the #1 seed at the time of the trade.
We were. And we looked really good. We had off nights, just like any other team, but we looked really good. Now it seems like, and since the trade, it has seemed like the off nights come every other night, or 4 games in a row, and then we have 2 good games. And, you know, you think about it, and from what you've heard, and from what it seems like, the purpose of that trade was to strengthen our bench.
Right.
Which is fine. It's a great idea.
Supposed to bring in depth.
Right. You need depth. That's something you need in the NBA. Great idea. Didn't work out. Look at the bench since the trade. It hasn't gotten any better.